Okay, so happy Sabbath and good evening.
So, gesegneten Sabbat und guten Abend.
Let's begin with prayer.
Lasst uns mit Gebet anfangen.
Dear Father in heaven,
Lieber Vater im Himmel,
we thank you so much for this new Sabbath,
also wir danken dir so sehr für diesen neuen Sabbat,
for a day of rest and gladness,
für einen Tag der Ruhe und der Freude,
that we can leave behind all the troubles and cares of the past week,
dass wir all die Sorgen und Sachen von der letzten Woche hinter uns lassen können,
and that we can now enter into your rest.
dass wir jetzt in deine Ruhe einkehren können.
And we ask you to please wash us clean, forgive us our sins of this past week,
Und wir bitten, dass du uns jetzt reinwäscht, vergebe uns unsere Sünden diese vergangene Woche
and that you would count unto us the merits of a crucified and risen Savior,
und dass du uns zurechnest die Tugenden von einem gekreuzigten und auferstandenen Retter.
and that you would teach us and help us to understand your word now,
Und dass du uns lehrst und hilfst jetzt, dass wir dein Wort verstehen.
and that we can receive a blessing from your word.
Dass wir einen Segen von deinem Wort erhalten mögen.
And we ask and pray all these things in Jesus' name.
Und wir bitten und beten all dies in Jesu Namen.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so please go in your Bibles to Matthew 24.
So, geht in euren Bibeln zu Matthäus 24.
And we looked at this yesterday evening.
Und gestern Abend haben wir dies angeschaut.
And let's begin in verse 6 and we will read down to verse 9.
Fangen wir in Vers 6 an und wir lesen bis Vers 9 hin.
And it says, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So we understand, so the beginning of sorrows, we marked here at the Sunday law.
So, wir verstehen das Anfang von Wehen oder Trauern ist hier am Sonntagsgesetz.
When nations are angry and the earth gets shaken.
Wo
Right?
die Nationen zornig sind und die Erde erschüttert wird.
Okay. And then in verse 9 it
Dann
says,
in Vers 9 sagt es,
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Okay, so where do we mark verse 9?
so wo markieren wir Vers 9?
The midnight cry,
Mitternacht.
right? So this is when you're delivered up
Es ist da, wo du ausgeliefert wirst,
to be afflicted, and it says here they shall kill you.
so,
Okay,
ja, angetastet zu werden, und sie sagen hier, dass sie dich töten werden.
and we understand here the midnight cry. This is when you're now before the king, like in Daniel's three friends.
Und
Okay.
wir verstehen hier an der Mitternachtsruf, du bist vor der König, genauso wie Daniel seine 3 Freunde.
And basically now this law, this death decree is now threaten you personally.
Und jetzt diese Todesdekret, die bedroht dich persönlich.
So let's just go to Daniel 2.
So, lasst uns jetzt, ich habe den Platz, hier geht zu Daniel 2.
And that we understand, Nebuchadnezzar, he had this dream, right?
Wir verstehen, dass Nebukadnezar diesen Traum hatte.
And then 3 times these magicians were to tell him the dream,
Und 3-mal sollte dieser Magier ihm den Traum deuten oder sagen,
but they couldn't.
aber sie konnten es nicht.
And now verse 12,
Und in Vers 12,
12 to 16.
die Verse 12 bis 16.
For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, Why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, that he would show the king the interpretation. Okay, so here also we see this. Now Nebuchadnezzar brings this death decree against all the wise men, right?
Also hier können wir sehen, dass Nebukadnezar dieses Todesdekret gegen alle weisen Männer bringt.
That's a nice point at that. Because when he says, why is the decree so hasty? I mean, I believe Daniel is saying, it's not the time yet for that to be revealed. You're being hasty, just like the hasty fruit. But it's nice that back at that point.
Also die Frage, Daniel stellt hier gerade an diesem Punkt hier so, warum ist dieses Dekret so hastig? Es ist noch nicht Zeit für den Frucht. Also hier markiert der Punkt von der hastigen Frucht.
Yes. And he now asks for time, right?
Und er bittet hier um Zeit.
Alright, and how is the king?
Und wie ist der König?
According to verse 12,
Gemäß Vers 12.
he's angry, right?
Er ist zornig.
And also when the 3 Hebrew boys come before him, he's also angry,
Und
right?
auch wenn die 3 Hebräer vor ihm kommen, da ist er auch zornig.
How was Haman when Mordecai didn't bow down to him?
Wie war Haman,
Day after day.
wenn Mordecai Tag für Tag sich vor ihm nicht
Yes,
niederbeugt?
full of wrath, right?
Voller Zorn.
Okay, so here the king is angry.
Und hier ist der König zornig.
And what does it say in Revelation 12, verse 17?
Was sagt es in Offenbarung 12, Vers 17?
The dragon is wrath, right?
Der Drache ist zornig.
So all these kings, they are the dragon, and they get increasingly angry and persecute more and more.
All diese Könige, das ist eben der Drache, und sie werden zunehmend zorniger.
Yes, and persecute more and more.
Und sie verfolgen mehr und mehr.
Okay, and what happened here, or what did Daniel then do in this time?
Was tat Daniel in dieser Zeit?
Let's go to verse 17.
Vers 17.
Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. So, what are they doing?
So was tun sie?
Yeah, they pray now, right?
Sie beten jetzt.
Yeah, so they desire mercies of God by praying, obviously.
Sie verlangen die Gnaden Gottes durch Gebet.
So, and this is what we understand. This is when you pray now day and night.
Und wir verstehen, das ist, was du hier tust, Tag und Nacht beten.
Day and night. And then they receive the revelation,
Dann
right?
erhalten sie die Offenbarung,
Which is then described in verse 19 when the secret is revealed to them.
das ist in Vers 19 beschrieben, wenn diese Geheimnisse geoffenbart werden.
Okay, but the point I want to make is that here at the beginning you have this death decree, right?
Aber der Punkt, auf den ich eingehen möchte hier, ist, dass am Anfang gibt es diesen Todesdekret.
I mean, the death decree is already in place since the Sunday law, but now it's brought against you personally. Right?
Der Todesdekret ist bereits erlassen hier am Sonntagsgesetz, aber es ist hier an diesem Punkt, womit du persönlich damit bedroht wirst.
Now let's go to the first quote that I posted.
So, in den Livestream gehen wir zu dem ersten Zitat, die ich gepostet habe.
And we just read down to the middle bit of this quote.
Und wir lesen nur bis der Mitte des Zitats.
It says, I saw that the 4 angels would hold the 4 winds until Jesus' work was done in the sanctuary. And then will come the 7 last plagues. These plagues enraged the wicked against the righteous. They thought that we had brought the judgments of God upon them, and that if they could rid the earth of us, the plagues would then be stayed. A decree went forth to slay the saints, which caused them to cry day and night for deliverance. This was the time of Jacob's trouble. Then all the saints cried out with anguish of spirit, and were delivered by the voice of God. The 144,000 triumphed. Okay, so we read this quote yesterday, and where did we mark it?
So, wir haben diesen Zitat gestern gelesen und wo haben wir das markiert?
6.
Yeah, 6th plague, right?
Der 6. Plage.
Okay, this death decree that goes forth, right?
Dieser Todesdekret, der erlassen wird
Yeah.
oder vorausgeht.
And then you have this time of Jacob's trouble,
Dann
right?
gibt es diese Zeit von Jakobs Trübsal,
Where you cry day and night for deliverance.
wo du Tag und Nacht für Befreiung rufst.
And then the voice of God comes to deliver you.
Dann kommt die Stimme des Herrn, um dich zu befreien.
Okay, so therefore, and we saw that this pattern is also in here in principle, right?
Und wir haben gesehen, dass diese Muster hier ist auch im Prinzip hierin zu sehen.
Yes.
Amen.
So you have the death decree here in the plagues,
So, es gibt der Todesdekret hier in den Plagen,
but at the same way, Mark, you have also the death decree here in the Sunday law. Right?
Aber auf denselben Weg, Marke, du hast auch den Todesdekret hier in den Sonntagsgesetzkrise markiert.
Yes?
Amen.
So just take this and take this. Okay. So therefore, yeah, this is this death decree. And now let's go to the next quote
So, gehen wir zu dem nächsten Zitat,
from Spalding again.
SPM.
It says, I saw the nominal church and nominal Adventists like Judas would betray us to the Catholics to obtain their influence to come against the truth. So it's the churches and Adventism, right?
So, die Gemeinden und Adventisten.
The saints then will be an obscure people little known to the Catholics, but the churches and nominal Adventists who know of our faith and customs, for they hated us on account of the Sabbath, for they could not refute it, will betray the saints and report them to the Catholics as those who disregard the institutions of the people, that is, that they keep the Sabbath and disregard Sunday. So what will they do?
Was werden sie tun?
Real report,
Sie
right?
werden dich melden.
And so you are already in Daniel, so let's remind ourselves, let's go to Daniel 3.
So, gehen wir zu Daniel 3.
So it's the nominal churches and the nominal Adventists, right?
So, das sind die nominale Gemeinden und die nominalen Adventisten.
So here, let's go and read verse 8.
Lesen wir Vers 8,
And 9.
die Verse 8 und 9.
It says, Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. So, what do we see here?
So, was sehen wir hier?
Flattering. They're flattering the king.
Yes, but
They're accusing them.
yeah, accusing it.
So,
Okay.
sie klagen sie an.
So they report them.
Sie
Right?
melden sie.
Yes, because before that the king didn't know about them.
Denn davor, der König wusste nichts von sie.
So they get now reported, and they are the Chaldeans here, the Babylonians.
So, sie werden gemeldet und das sind die Chaldäer hier, die Babylonier.
And since 1844, who is part of Babylon?
Und seit 1844, wer ist ein Teil von Babylon?
Protestants.
The Protestants, right?
Protestanten.
So it's these nominal churches, because this white always refers to the Protestants as these nominal churches.
So, diese Namensgemeinden. Also Ellen White bezieht sie, diese. Which refers to what?
To the Protestants as
Also
the
die
nominal
Protestanten
churches.
als die Nominalen, also Namensgemeinden.
Yes. So here we can see this illustration that the Protestants report you,
So,
okay?
hier in dieser Darstellung können wir sehen, dass die Protestanten dich melden,
These Chaldeans.
diese
Okay?
Chaldäer.
But when you go now to Esther chapter 3,
Aber wenn du zu Esther Kapitel 3 gehst,
where everybody was now to bow down before Haman,
wo jeder sich vor Haman beugen soll,
we can read the verses 2 to 5.
Esther 3, die Verse 2 bis 5.
It says, And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman, to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. So, who reported Mordecai here?
So, wer hat Mordecai hier gemeldet?
King's servants.
The king's servants.
Die
Okay.
Diener der König.
But who is the king in Esther?
Aber wer ist der König in Esther? Das ist Christ.
Christ, right?
Steht Christus da.
So, it's therefore these servants of Christ, okay?
So, deswegen ist es diese Diener Christi.
Professing servants.
Yes, professing servants of Christ who
Bekennende Diener Christi.
bow down before Haman,
Die
okay?
sich vor Haman beugen.
So therefore, what kind of Adventists are they?
So, was für Adventisten sind sie?
Nominal Adventists, okay?
Namensadventisten.
Because, yeah, if they bow down before Haman, what did they accept now?
Denn wenn sie vor Haman niederbeugen, was haben sie angenommen? Sonntag.
Sunday,
Das
right?
Sonntagsgesetz.
The only question I have is in verse 4. It says, For he told them that he was a Jew. That would seem to contradict that.
True Jew.
It doesn't say true Jew. It says he told them that he was a Jew, so I'm just saying.
Yes, but when we go back to the Spalding again quote,
Also wenn wir zurück zu dem SPM-Zitat gehen,
No, I know what it says, but
let's just read this again. It says, I saw the nominal church and nominal Adventists like Judas would betray us to the Catholics to obtain their influence to come against the truth. The saints then will be an obscure people, little known to the Catholics. But the churches and nominal Adventists who know of our faith and customs, for they hated us on account of the Sabbath, for they could not refute it. So, therefore, the nominal Adventists, why do they hate now the faithful ones here?
so die diese Namensadventisten, warum hassen sie die Treuen hier?
it keeps the Sabbath.
Yeah, because the faithful still keep the Sabbath,
Weil die Treuen halten den Sabbat,
but the unfaithful one, they don't keep the Sabbath anymore.
aber die Untreuen, die halten den Sabbat nicht.
Okay, so, and what makes you a Seventh-day Adventist?
Und was ist es, was dir ein 7-Tags-Adventist macht? You hold the seventh day.
Yeah, you keep the seventh day.
Du
Okay.
hältst den 7. Tag.
Okay, so if you're not keeping the seventh day anymore,
So,
what
wenn
are you
du
not?
den 7. Tag nicht mehr hältst, was bist du nicht mehr?
Yes, you're not a Jew anymore.
Du bist
Okay.
nicht mehr eine
You
Jude.
might have a second witness for that
Yes.
in Jonah.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
You know the one of
Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes.
So,
Eight,
yeah,
nine.
yes, we come to this immediately. So everybody understands, yeah?
Kann jeder verstehen.
Okay, so basically Mordecai is a Jew because he still keeps the Sabbath, whereas the others, they bow down before the image.
So, Mordecai ist ein Jude, weil er noch den Sabbat hält. Und die anderen nichts mehr, weil sie vor diesem Standbild niederbeugen.
So let's go to Jonah chapter 1.
Gehen wir zu Jona, Jonas Kapitel 1.
Mark said it was the same name.
So what verse do you want to
7, 9.
Die Versen 7 bis 9.
read?
And they said everyone to his fellow, come and let us cast lots that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots and the lot fell upon Jonah. So there's the casting the lots mark in that thing.
Yes.
Also hier ist der Loswerfen, der diese Weg macht.
We understand when the Day of Atonement begins, they cast lots for the scapegoat, right?
Der Versöhnungstag fängt an, die werfen das Los für den Sündenbock.
Then said they unto him, tell us, we pray thee, for whose cause this evil is upon us. What is thine occupation, and whence comest thou? What is thy country, and of what people art thou? And he said unto them, I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, which hath made the sea and the dry land. So there's the God of the Sabbath.
Yes, exactly.
Vers 9, es ist der Gott der Sabbats.
Yes.
So he tells them he's a Jew.
So, er hat ihnen erzählt, dass er eine Jude ist.
Okay. And because you're still a Jew, they will hate you because they are nominal Adventists and they are nominal churches. Right?
Also, weil du ein Jude bist, die werden dich hassen, weil sie sind nur Namensadventisten und Namensprotestanten.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the Spalding again quote.
So, gehen wir zurück zu dem Zitat von SPM.
So we see, yeah, so the saints get reported, and we saw in Esther and also in Daniel 3, it's this waymark, right?
So, wir konnten sehen, dass die Heiligen werden ausgeliefert und wir haben gesehen in Daniel 2, 3, dass es diese Wegmarke ist.
And also Esther.
Und auch in die Geschichte von Esther.
Yes. So, and what happens then? Next paragraph, just a bold-faced.
Was geschieht der nächste Absatz, also das fettgedruckte?
Then the Catholics bid the Protestants to go forward and issue a decree that all who will not observe the first day of the week instead of the seventh day shall be slain. Okay. Yeah, so you have over and over again this death decree marked here, this waymark, right?
So, wieder und wieder gibt es diese Todesdekret, der an diese Wegmarke markiert
Because
ist.
Haman, when he now hears about Mordecai, what is he doing?
Denn Haman, als er von Mordecai hört, was tut er?
Yeah, it's full of wrath, and he also makes a death decree, right?
Voller Zorn und er macht ein Todesdekret.
Yeah. So all these stories show clearly here this death decree, okay,
So, all diese
coming against
Geschichten-
God's people.
All diese Geschichten zeigen hier ein Todesdekret gegen Gottes Volk.
Now let's go to Matthew 24.
Gehen wir
Back.
jetzt zurück zu Matthäus 24.
Okay, and let's read verse 9 again.
Und lesen wir Vers 9 wieder.
It says, Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Okay, so this phrase here, shall kill you. Okay, just mark this.
Also diese
Okay.
Aussage hier, die werden dich töten, das markieren wir hier.
And obviously we understand this is when they bring this death decree against you. Okay.
Also wir verstehen, dass dies der Punkt ist, wo die diesen Todendekret gegen dich bringen.
Yeah, but this is when they want to execute it against you. Okay.
Aber sie wollen es an dieser Stelle ausführen.
So we still have this time of probation in this sense in their eyes. Okay.
Es gibt noch diese Gnadenzeit in deren Augen, wenn du so willst.
Okay. So now let's go to Revelation chapter 16 first.
Lass uns zu Offenbarung 16 gehen. Zuerst.
Let's begin in verse 12.
Und fangen wir in Vers 12 an.
And it says, And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So we are now here at the sixth plague, right?
Wir sind hier an der 6. Plage.
Okay, and then we understand the threefold union comes here together.
Dann verstehen wir, die dreifaltige Union kommt zusammen.
So according to verse 13 and 14, right?
Gemäß Verse 13 und 14.
And we are read in the quote, what do they do?
Und in der Zitat haben wir gelesen, was tun sie?
The plagues are falling and now they
So, die Plagen fallen und dann
make a
tun
death
sie,
decree, right?
sie erlassen ein Todesdekret.
Okay, so they come here together to kill God's people.
Sie kommen hier zusammen, um Gottes Volk zu töten.
Okay, but the sixth plague is also a parallel to the sixth trumpet, right?
Aber der 6. Plage ist auch eine Parallel zur 6. Posaune.
Because here we see the Euphrates River dried up.
Können
Okay.
wir sehen, dass der Euphratstrom ausgetrocknet wird.
And now let's go to the Revelation chapter 9 to the sixth trumpet, which is also connected with the Euphrates.
Und zur Offenbarung 9, zu diese 6. Posaune, der auch in Verbindung mit der Euphratstrom ist.
It says, And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. So here we have the river Euphrates.
So, hier ist der Euphratstrom erwähnt.
And then it says, And the four angels were loosed which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of man. So what permission did they now receive?
So, welches Erlaubnis haben sie hier erhalten?
Yes, to slay, right? Which is to kill.
Zu
Right?
schlachten, zu töten.
And you can also read verse 18.
Und Vers 18 lesen wir auch.
It says, By these three was the third part of man killed. Okay, so you have the word killed now.
So,
Okay.
hier hast du das Wort getötet.
By the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. Okay, so right there where basically Satan gives now this decree to kill God's people,
So, gerade da, wo Satan diesen Dekret gibt, Gottes Volk zu töten.
God gives now the permission to radical Islam also to kill, right?
So, Gott gibt den radikalen Islam auch die Erlaubnis zu töten.
Yes. Because before that, in Revelation 9 in the fifth trumpet,
Denn davor in Offenbarung 9 unter der 5. Posaune,
let's read verse 5,
Vers 5,
it says, And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And the torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. So before that, what were they not permitted to do?
so davor, was waren sie nicht erlaubt zu tun?
To kill,
Zu
right?
töten.
So therefore here, you have basically not to kill.
So, hier hast du nicht sollen nicht töten.
But here now you have this time of killing. Okay.
Hier jetzt hast du diese Zeit, wo sie töten können.
So basically the same time as Satan wants to kill you, God permits now Islam to kill. Okay.
So, zur selben Zeit, wo Satan dich töten will, Gott erlaubt, den Islam jetzt zu töten.
Okay. So, and I just want to highlight this, yeah, that it's beginning at this waymark of the midnight cry or the sixth plague, if you want to call it.
Ich möchte das nur betonen an diesem Punkt, das beginnt an der Mitternachtsruf oder der 6. Plage, wenn wir es so nennen wollen.
This is this where it's marked. This killing is marked. Okay.
Das ist da, wo dieses Töten markiert ist.
Okay. Maybe I just want to share one more quote.
Ein weiteres Zitat möchte ich mitteilen.
Okay, post it now.
So, es kommt zu uns jetzt.
It's here from Great Controversy.
So, von großem Kampf ist das.
It says, "Now the true spirit of the papacy was revealed. Said the Romish leader, if you will not receive brethren who bring you peace, you shall receive enemies who will bring you war. If you will not unite with us in showing the Saxons the way of life, you shall receive from them the stroke of death." Okay, so whose spirit was revealed here?
So, wessen Geist ist hier geoffenbart worden?
Of the papacy,
Der
right?
Papst.
How?
Wie?
Yes. Okay.
Todesdekret.
When she says, put them to death, right?
Wenn sie sagt, töte sie.
And we saw in this quote by Spalding again, when they get reported, then they say, okay, go forward and put them to death, right?
Wir haben gesehen in diesem Zitat von SPM, wenn sie gemeldet würden, dann sagen sie, geht voran und tötet sie.
Okay, so therefore, just another illustration, this is now when they want to put God's people to death,
Das
right?
ist noch eine weitere Darstellung, dass dies der Punkt ist, wo sie Gottes Volk töten möchten.
Okay, so now let's go to Revelation chapter 11.
Lasst uns jetzt zu Offenbarung Kapitel 11 gehen.
And let's begin in verse 3.
Fangen wir in Vers 3 an.
It says, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." So this is now the 1260, the Sunday law crisis, right? They prophesy.
Der 1260, der Sonntagsgesetzkrise, wo sie prophezeien.
And then it says, "These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." Okay, so we see them prophesying, okay,
Wir können sehen, dass sie prophezeien.
but in verse 7 what happens?
Aber was geschieht in Vers 7?
Stop.
Yeah, now this beast comes up, we know it's the south, right?
Jetzt kommt dieses Tier herauf, das ist der Süden.
And what does it do?
Was tut es?
Yeah, it first makes war against them,
So, zuerst macht Krieg gegen sie
then overcomes them,
und überwindet sie
and then kills them, right?
und tötet sie.
Okay, so, and this is something we looked at, yeah, and it's not so easy to mark here in this chapter.
Und
Okay.
dies ist eine Sache, die wir angeschaut haben. Das ist nicht sehr einfach in diesem Kapitel zu markieren.
Some of it is that because in history it was a rejection of the Bible, right? So it must be something also to do with that in our time.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Also in der Geschichte, handelt sich über eine Verwerfung von der Bibel, also in unserer Zeit muss es auch sowas damit zu tun haben.
Yes. So, because basically, what do they want to silence?
Also was möchten sie stummen?
The voice of the two witnesses.
Yes.
Die Stimme der zwei Zeugen.
Which is their
Das ist
testimony, it says in verse 7,
Zeugnis.
right? It says, because when they shall have finished their testimony, right?
Wenn sie ihre Zeugnis vollenden.
Okay. And so, and it says here then that basically they get killed and then they are crucified, okay?
Es sagt hier, dass sie getötet werden, gekreuzigt werden.
Yeah, because in verse 8 it speaks about the crucifixion of Christ.
Denn in Vers 8 es spricht über die Kreuzigung Christi.
Okay, so the question or the problem we have at the moment to understand this properly,
Also
okay,
die Frage oder das Problem, die wir haben, dies im Moment richtig verstehen zu können, ist,
and because what did they do up to this time?
denn was haben sie bis diesem Zeitpunkt getan?
They prophesied, yes.
Sie haben gewahrsacht.
They gave a testimony, yes.
Sie haben ein Zeugnis gegeben.
And they also, let's read verse 10.
Und Vers 10 lesen wir.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Okay, so what did they do?
So was taten sie?
They tormented
Sie
them.
haben
Okay.
sie gequält.
Okay. Mhm.
Have you got some thoughts on that?
I mean, I have just this thought of Revelation 9. I mean,
Okay, I got one thought while you're here. Verse 1.
Also Vers 1.
Because it says, there was given me a reed like a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein. And we know that that represents investigative judgment.
Da steht der Untersuchungsgericht da.
So, I've often thought of this, whether or not it was marking the beginning of that at the investigative judgment, because it's also 1260, where they're given a testimony.
Das nun nicht an der Untersuchungsgericht markiert ist, denn das ist auch eine 1260 vor ihrem Zeugnis ablegen.
And it brings them up to the point with the little box where they get put to death.
Und das bringt sie zu dem Punkt, zu den kleinen Kassen hier, wo sie zu Tode.
you mean beginning here? Or?
Yeah, so then, because what are you doing in there? You're giving a testimony, right?
Hier ist, wo du ein Zeugnis ablegst.
It's also the beginning of the investigative judgment.
Das ist auch das Anfang der
Or,
Untersuchungsgericht
or the Day of Atonement.
oder der Versöhnungstag.
That's okay, beginning of the deal, yes. And it's also 1260.
Und es ist auch eine 1260.
So I thought about that, maybe that was a way of getting round it.
I mean, what we can definitely see from here is maybe we can just read verses 8 to 11, okay?
Lesen wir die Versen 8 bis 11.
It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people in kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. So what kind of burial do they receive?
So, was für eine Begräbnis erhalten sie?
One of an ass.
Yes, okay.
Begräbnis eines Esels.
So Satan always turns things around, right?
Satan, dreht alles immer auf den Kopf.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Okay, so when they are now dead, what do the people do?
So, wenn sie tot sind, was tun die Leute?
Rejoice.
They rejoice, right?
Die freuen
Yes.
sich.
Okay, so keep your finger here, let's go to John chapter 16.
So, halte den Platz, hier geht zu Johannes 16.
John
Johannes
16.
16.
And let's read verses 20 to 21.
Die Verse 20 bis 21.
says, Verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. So that's Revelation 11, right?
So, hier spricht es dasselbe wie Offenbarung 11.
So the world is not rejoicing because you're dead. Yeah, they put you to death.
Die Welt frohlockt, weil du tot bist. Ja.
And ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. This is when they now ascend up into heaven.
Also du wirst Trauer haben, aber dann wieder Freude. Also das ist, wenn du ins Himmel gehst.
A woman, when she is in travail, hath sorrow, because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. So what does Jesus compare this time to here?
So
When you lament?
Vergleicht Jesus diese Zeit, wenn du
The birth in the belly.
Yes, the birth and the belly,
also
right?
das Geburt
That would
und
And also the hour,
Yes.
right?
auch die Stunde.
That would solve that point.
Yes. So therefore, let's say from this angle, the weight of evidence would mark it here. Okay.
So von dieser Ansichtsrichtung gesehen, also der Beweislast würde es denn hier markieren.
Just put those other bits together and you have a perfect match.
Because we have this hour here,
Also wir haben diese Stunde hier
and it's the belly.
und das ist auch das Baucherfahrung.
Okay. And what do you mean?
I'm saying the other points I gave you, if you put them together now with that, they match perfectly.
You mean when we
So
started
verse,
from here?
Verse 1 begins because
So
you can
Vers
read
1
it.
Offenbarung 11 fängt hier an.
Sister White says it very clearly that the rising of the measure of the temple is the investigative. The angels are investigating.
Ellen White sagt das klar, dass wenn es sagt, stehe und misst den Tempel, dass das der Untersuchung ist. Also die Engel untersuchen dich.
In that way marks the beginning of the Day of Atonement.
Und
Right?
diese Wegmarke markiert das Anfang von Versöhnungstag.
Okay, so and then you have 1260, which is there.
1260, was hier drin ist.
So they're given a testimony.
Sie geben ein Zeugnis.
And what else was it?
Yes, and then obviously they rejoice when
There's plagues fall in there, which is also quite interesting.
Es gibt Plagen, die da fallen. Das ist auch interessant.
I mean, yes, that's definitely true. I mean, the reason why we all started it back then from the Sunday law was this parallel with Elijah, right?
Yes.
Also
Because the
Grund,
heavens
weshalb,
get shut here.
das Grund, weshalb wir das immer am Sonntagsgesetz früher angefangen haben, war das parallel mit Elia, weil hier ist es, wo die Himmel sich
But
verschließen.
it's the same principle that everywhere when the light comes, if you don't gather it, you go into darkness.
Aber es ist dasselbe Prinzip an jeder Wegmarke. Wenn das Licht kommt und du es nicht sammelst, dann gehst du ins Finsternis.
Okay, and maybe one further point to notice here. Okay,
Ein weiteres Punkt zum Bemerken.
let's read verse 12 also.
Vers 12. Also wir sind wieder in Offenbarung 11.
Yes, Revelation 11, 12.
Offenbarung 11 und Vers 12.
Because in 11 the Spirit of God enters them and they now come up hither, they ascend up to heaven.
In Vers 11, der Geist Gottes kommt in sie und sie gehen ins Himmel auf.
So by whom is this illustrated?
So, durch wem ist das dargestellt?
Elijah, right? Elijah ascending up to heaven.
Elia geht ins Himmel hin.
Now verse 12.
Vers 12.
And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So who beheld them?
So, wer hat sie gesehen?
The enemies.
Die
Okay.
Feinde.
So the enemies are obviously those that formerly rejoiced.
Und
Okay.
die Feinde sind natürlich diejenigen, die zuvor frohlockt haben.
So let's go to, keep your finger here, let's go to 2 Kings chapter 2.
So, halte den Platz hier und geht zur 2. Könige, Kapitel 2.
Let's look at those enemies.
Schauen wir diese Feinde an.
And basically Elijah and Elisha, they go now 3 times to these different school of the prophets, right?
Und Elia und Elisa, sie gehen 3-mal zu dieser verschiedenen Prophetenschulen.
Yes?
Amen.
Okay, and it's 3 times this test tarry here, and Elisha says, I will not let you go.
Es
Right?
ist dreimal diesen Test, also wartet hier. Und Elisa sagt, ich werde nicht dich loslassen.
So what is this
So was ist das,
when he says, I will not let you go?
wenn er sagt, ich werde dich nicht
It's
loslassen?
not that you until you bless me. It's Jacob's
Yes.
time of trouble, which
Yes.
also marks
This
the
is
point.
this Jacob's time
Ich
of
werde dich nicht loslassen, bis du mich segnest. Das ist der Zeit von Jakobs Trübsal, also wieder
And
dasselbe Zeit.
he gets the blessing at the end, the double measure.
Yes.
Und er hält den Segen am Ende.
And
Das
it's
doppelte
also,
Maß.
you hold fast to your past experience, right?
Und es ist auch, dass du festhältst an deiner vergangenen Erfahrung.
Okay, so therefore these 3 times would be then in here,
Deswegen diese 3 Mal werden denn hier drin,
leading you now to this point when he smites the waters the first time,
so,
right?
und das führt bis zu diesem Punkt hin, wo er das erste Mal den Wasser schlägt.
But let's just read here, let's begin in verse 6. This is the 3rd time when he said, tarry here.
Also beginnen wir in Vers 6, das ist der 3. Mal, wo er sagt, wartet hier.
It says, and Elijah said unto him, tarry, I pray thee, here, for the Lord hath sent me to Jordan. And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on. And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to view afar off, and they stood by Jordan. Okay, so who came to view here?
So, wer ist es, der hier gekommen ist, um anzuschauen?
50 people from the movement.
50 people of the school of the prophets, right?
50 von diesen Prophetenschulen.
But what did they do beforehand?
Aber was haben sie zuvor getan?
Well, some in the schools were sort of mocking them.
Yes, they mocked them,
Sie
right?
haben sie verspottet.
But what did we see in Revelation chapter 11? Who came and saw?
The enemies beheld.
Yeah, the enemies beheld them ascending up to heaven, right?
Was haben wir gesehen in Offenbarung 11? Die Feinde sind gekommen und haben gesehen, wie sie ins Himmel führen.
So here, these 50 represent these enemies that now.
Not these 50.
Let me just. I think they're also enemies at the beginning, but they obviously they then repent. Okay. Just translate this.
Also diese 50, die sind am Anfang Feinde, aber sie tun Buße.
Yeah, because they're a part of them that mock here. Okay.
Und das sind ein Teil von diejenigen, die hier verspotten.
And they now watch Elijah ascending up to heaven. That's like the two witnesses ascending up to heaven.
Und sie schauen Elia, wie er ins Himmel führt. Das ist dasselbe wie die 2 Zeugen, die ins Himmel gefahren
But what
sind.
does Revelation 11 say when they ascend up to heaven? What comes up on the people?
Aber was
Yeah, great
sagt
fear,
Offenbarung 11? Wenn sie in den Himmel fahren, was kommt über sie? Große Furcht.
So now God clearly established that this was truth, and how many classes then are always developed?
So Gott jetzt hat klar gezeigt, dass dies die Wahrheit ist und wie viele Klassen werden immer daraus entwickelt werden?
2 classes,
2
right?
Klassen.
So therefore,
I
at
got,
least.
I got a
Yeah.
quick question to that, right? Those other 50, because when you go to verse 15,
Yes.
So in Vers 15.
it says, and when the sons of the prophets, which were to view at Jericho, saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah doth rest on Elisha, and they came to meet him and bowed themselves to the ground before him.
Yes.
So they had to have been receiving something prior to that in order for that to happen, because the exceeding bright light, right? It says some of those that, in fact, okay, this might be the careless ones that came and joined those with the exceeding bright light. That's
Mhm.
maybe what it might mean.
Yes. Because
Es mag vielleicht den Sorglosen sein, die sich bekehrt haben und kamen und schlossen sie an, die dieses äußerst helles Licht empfangen haben.
here, right? So Elijah ascends up here, right?
So Elia, der fährt hier hinauf.
And so then the 50 come here and they bow down.
So die 50 kommen hier an und beugen sich nieder.
But then there are other 50 strong men.
Aber dann gibt es diese andere 50.
They now go and look for the oil. They disbelieve,
Sie
basically.
gehen und suchen nach das Öl, also sie glauben nicht.
And let's go to 1 Kings chapter 18.
Gehen wir zu 1. Könige Kapitel 18.
Let's read verse 38 to 39.
Die Verse 38, 39.
Because these 50, when they saw Elijah ascending up, they fell on their faces, right?
Diese 50, als sie Elia hinaufführen gesehen haben, sie fielen auf ihrem Angesicht ab.
It says, then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. This is now Mount Carmel here.
Also das ist Karmel hier.
And where comes the fire down?
Und wo kommt das Feuer herab?
Same place.
Same way, Mark, right?
Also derselbe Weg, Mark.
Yes. So when he ascends up, fire comes down,
So,
right?
wenn auffährt, da kommt Feuer herab.
And what happens now in verse 39?
Und was geschieht in Vers 39?
They fall on their
And
faces.
yes, and when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and they said, "The Lord, He's the God. The Lord, He's the God." Okay, so that's now these 50 strong men that view from afar. They now humble themselves.
Das sind
Okay,
diese 50 starke Männer, die sie von Weitem anschauen. Sie demütigen sich hier.
but before that, they were part of the enemies,
Aber
right?
davor waren sie ein Teil der Feinde.
So therefore, in this way, I would.
I was saying that,
So it's-
because remember the other day you showed that the exceeding bright light, but there's some that come from the ones that were
Careless,
careless and
yes,
indifferent,
yes.
enjoying those, and the rest
Yes.
rebel against it. So that would be in
Mhm.
agreement with this.
Yes. In the vision about the exceeding bright light.
Also in dieser Vision über das äußerst helles Licht.
When the exceeding bright light comes,
So wenn dieser äußerst helles Licht kommt,
which is here, right? And
was hier ist,
fully here, then at the
also
end.
vollständig hier am Ende.
This is why it says that all those in the little praying company receive it,
So Ellen White sagt, dass all diejenigen in der kleinbetenden Schar, die erhalten das Licht,
but some also from the careless and indifferent group receive it.
aber auch einige von den sorglosen und uninteressierten Gruppe erhalten es.
So, and therefore, those people here in the story of Elijah and on Mount Carmel and with Elisha most likely would represent those people of the careless and indifferent group that now join.
So diejenigen hier auf Berg Karmel und in die Geschichte von Elia werden wahrscheinlich diejenigen von den sorglosen und uninteressierten, die kommen und schließen sich an.
Yes, everybody follows?
Kann jeder folgen?
And also, and the thief on the cross, I mean, both were mocking Christ, and then afterwards when he
Es ist auch die Diebe am Kreuz, also am Anfang beide verspotten Christus, aber eine bekehrt sich und eine nicht.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so now let's go back to Revelation 11.
Gehen wir zurück zur Offenbarung 11.
So basically we can then see that if we brought everything together correctly,
So, wir können sehen, wenn wir alles auf korrekte Weise zusammengebracht haben,
that basically then it's just a smaller fractal here, okay,
dann das ist alles nur diese kleinere Fraktal hier.
and that in this illustration then you give this testimony here, this is where they give the testimony,
Und diese Darstellung ist es hier, wo sie das Zeugnis geben.
They're mocking you.
yes, and they mock you, okay,
Sie verspotten dich,
and then they kill you and you're dead for this time,
dann töten sie dich und du bist tot diese Zeit lang.
and they now rejoice, and this is what we saw in John 16.
Sie frohlocken und das ist, was wir in Johannes 16 gesehen haben.
And they basically, at the same time, you're in this belly.
Und zur selben Zeit bist du in diesem Bauch.
And it says, for the hour of her birth or delivery is come. Right?
Sagt, die Stunde ihrem Geburt ist gekommen.
And when you come out, you now ascend up to heaven,
Und wenn du herauskommst, dann steigst du in den Himmel empor.
and great fear comes upon the people.
Großes Furcht kommt über das Volk.
And some will humble themselves,
Einige werden sich demütigen,
just like these 50 people that view afar off,
genauso wie diese 50, die vom Weiten zuschauten.
and some will not humble themselves.
Und einige werden sich nicht demütigen.
Okay, so I hope that this helped to see this a little bit clearer, but I'm still open that maybe Revelation 11 has
So,
some
ich
more
hoffe,
things.
dass das uns hilft, das etwas klarer zu sehen. Aber für Offenbarung 11 bin ich immer noch offen, mehr zu sehen.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, but basically we have in the bigger illustration we have here this killing mark at this,
So, auf der größeren Darstellung, wir haben hier dieses Töten hier markiert.
but when you go in the smaller, then the killing is here.
Wenn du
Okay,
in der kleinere Fraktal geht, der Töten ist hier zu markieren.
so it's always this. Basically, it's just shifted one.
So, es ist im Grunde, es versetzt sich immer einer.
I think you're, because for me it all makes sense now. When you're given a testimony, see, Islam torments right from the beginning to there, and it's a problem worldwide, right? To keep this at bay, right?
So Islam
Quick.
quält von hier bis da und das ist weltweit und das ist ein Problem, also diese Sache im Schach zu halten.
So when they get loose there, it's because they are now putting this decree in place which is threatening you, right?
So, sie werden hier losgelassen, weil sie dieses Dekret aufgestellt haben, was dich bedroht.
But this is where you're delivered up, and you have a chance now. You're telling them this testimony, and part of your testimony is about them. See these people now that are doing this is because of your sin, and it's tormenting them. This.
So, ein Teil von, wenn du hier ausgeliefert werdest, dass du dein Zeugnis geben, ein Teil von dein Zeugnis ist natürlich darüber zu erzählen, diese Menschen hier, die hier töten kann, das ist gerade darum, weil ihr dieses Dekret erlassen habt.
Okay, so when Elijah smiting the waters, it's the east wind.
So, wenn
It's smiting, right?
Elia den Wasser schlägt, das ist der Ostwind, der zuschlägt.
What divides the waters?
It divides the waters,
Das
right?
die Wasser zerteilen.
And this is what will bring you before the king, for he will hear you about the prediction.
So, und das ist es, was dir vor der König bringen
Not
würde.
for ages that.
Und er werde deine Vorhersage zuhören.
Okay, so definitely there's an event will happen there to do with Islam. And this is what will make the king now fear and listen to what you've got to say before it comes to pass.
So, und es gibt, you mean here, right? At the beginning of a little test, an event.
That's not where you stand before the king and give the...
No, that's not what I'm saying. An event that comes from Islam that will determine that you then stand before the king here.
No, it's at the end where you stand before the king.
Okay, es ist am Ende, wo du vor dem König stehst.
Okay, so yes.
I was asking more about where's this event from Islam that you meant.
At the end.
So, also dieses Ereignis von Islam ist auch am Ende.
I mean, he smites the waters 2 times.
Yes, but remember we went through this, it's like one event.
Er schlägt den Wasser zweimal.
So yes, it's like one event, but maybe it also has a deeper meaning. So we don't
It's a double.
understand. Yes.
Es ist
Double event.
ein Ereignis, aber vielleicht hat es einen tieferen Sinn, vielleicht ist es eine doppelte Ereignis.
Okay, yes. So definitely some thoughts to chew upon. Okay,
Sicher einige Gedanken darüber zu kauen.
and yes, and I think the Lord will open this up more fully as we go on.
Ich glaube, dass der Herr dies völligerweise auftun werde, wenn wir so vorangehen.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Then if there are no further questions or thoughts, then we can close with our prayer round.
Also wenn es keine weiteren Gedanken oder Fragen gibt, dann können wir mit unserer Gebetsrunde Schluss machen.